What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here with a preview for the WGC HSBC. Is that enough letters for you? So this is the first WGC event of this calendar year. It's going to be played in Shanghai, China. And let's jump right into the player pool. So if you've never seen this video series before, I'm just going to go through some of the players that I like. With this new season, you're going to start to see a lot more of these visual tools from me that I've created, and we're going to get away from the spreadsheets a little bit. So for this video, I'm just going to use my new interactive tools that are available on DFS On Demand. If there's something you see that you like, shout it out. If there's something that you'd like to see, let me know. This is the time of year where we can make those changes before we get into January and a lot of these tourneys start, and it's going to be go, go, go. Okay, that's my disclaimer. So let's talk about this. No cut event, so barring withdrawal, injury, disqualification, everyone's going to get 4 rounds here. And it's a pretty stellar field. 5 guys over 10,000. So let's kind of talk through some of this. Dustin Johnson, priced at $11,700, is the most expensive golfer on the slate. Let's pull up the course history real quick. So we'll go to the HSBC, and I only want the last 4 years because that's the correct course for this week. Okay, so in this modern history, the last 4 years that this tournament has been played at the same course, Dustin Johnson has the most DraftKings points per round. So you can see he won it in 2013, backed it up with a top 5 in 2015, and then a 35th last year, which is, you know, basically middle of the pack for this field, but is certainly the type of player who's going to rack up a lot of DraftKings points. Now, the guy that I might be most interested in investing, who's probably coming in at the top of a lot of power rankings, is going to be Hideki Matsuyama. So he's your defending champion. Destroyed the course last year. I think he won it by 7 strokes. But his average DraftKings points per tournament here is a little bit deceptive. So you can see averaging only 59 DraftKings points per start. But he's withdrawn twice. So I have to go back and see what the reason for that was. But there's no reason to think that you know, he's going to withdraw. I guess maybe if he starts really, really poorly, he'll just get out of town. But defending champion last year, coming in with a little bit of form. So remember towards the end of last year in the President's Cup, Hideki really faded, and he didn't play all that well. But looked like he was starting to put it together at the CIMB. You know, shoots a 63 on Saturday, which is the type of round you expect from this guy to finish with a top 5. And then he's going to go to a course that he just absolutely destroyed last year. So Matsuyama seems to be checking off all the boxes for this week. I do just want to point this out. When you're trying to find players to roster in different types of events here, or different types of contests on DraftKings. So down here in the bottom right-hand corner, I have, this is basically a volatility chart. It has averages of DraftKings points, and it also has standard deviation. So the higher the standard deviation, the more volatile the player is. The lower, the more consistent they are. So you can find consistency with guys like, where's Matt Kuchar? I know he's on here somewhere. Oh, sorry. Here's Cooch. So here's Cooch with a 20 standard deviation. That's pretty low. You can see it on the chart here. Cantlay, he didn't play too many events last year, but very, very consistent when he did. Here's Matsuyama. So what I want to point out here is not only, so this is since the start of last PGA Tour season. So these guys have played a lot of tournaments, but Matsuyama is averaging the most DraftKings points since the start of last PGA Tour season, but also a 31 standard deviation is higher than most other players. There's only a few guys who are more volatile. Justin Thomas, Terrell Hatton, who we'll talk about in a bit, Pat Perez, Ross Fisher. So of these elite guys, Matsuyama is your most volatile, meaning that the risk reward is very high here. So Matsuyama might not be the type of guy that you want to play in cash games. He might be better for GPPs. So this is a really good chart for identifying players who are more consistent than others. So I wanted to point that out there. Mark Leishman. So Mark Leishman checking in at $9,900. He's the first player who is under 10 grand, and we'll be really interested to see the ownership on Leishman. I can't tell if he's flying under the radar or not. If you look at his recent results, a first, a second, and a third in 3 of the last 4 events that he's played. That's awesome. And he lost in a playoff last week to Justin Thomas, who's the hottest and best player on the face of the planet right now. He's played this event twice, I believe. Let's pull up Leishman's course history. Yeah, here we go. So he's played in 2015 and 2014 and had an 11th and a 9th place. So hard to overlook that price, less than $9,900. To me, he's probably maybe the 3rd or 4th best player on my slate, and he's priced as what? The 6th, so there's a little bit of value there. As we go down here in this 9K range, Paul Casey, no reason to think that he won't continue to stay as hot as he was at the end of last year. He's won before in China. It was a while ago. I want to say it was like 2006 or so. But he's won events in China before, which I think is interesting. Matt Fitzpatrick. So here's Fitzpatrick in what we usually call the sandwich pricing here. So Pat Perez recently coming off of a win. He's probably going to catch a lot of eyes. Paul Casey is a DFS sweetheart. He's going to catch a lot of eyes. And Matt Fitzpatrick's kind of in the middle here. And he's mostly a Euro player who's, been pretty scorching hot. So let's just look at, let's see if I can find Matt Fitzpatrick real quick here on the game logs. All right, so here are, oh, sorry, I need all of his starts. Those were just his PGA starts. All right, here we go. So mostly are Euro Tour players, so that's what you can see here. So he won 4 starts ago, which is right here, September 10th at the Omega European Masters. Then followed that up with an 11th, a 15th, and a 15th. So playing really, really well right now. Let me see what I have. He's played this tournament before. I have a couple other notes here. Let's look at his course history, right? 16th last year, 7th the year prior. Very good finishes. And then here's something else I want to show you. So up here in the upper left-hand corner, that's average DraftKings points per tournament and then how many starts they've made. And we're just going to take this pretty recent, okay? We're just going to take this to September. And this is basically the last 4 weeks or so. And you can see Matt Fitzpatrick is right here. The 6th most DraftKings points over the course of the last 4 weeks or so. Playing really well. I mean, there's a guy like Pat Perez. I mean, he's won in that span as well. He's kind of in the same spot. Brendan Steele has won in that span. So these are some legit hot players right now if you're looking at the last month. And Matt Fitzpatrick certainly catches my eye. Continuing down here, if you want to buy back in on Xander, who just, has played 2 bad rounds over the course of the last year, shoots, or maybe 3 bad rounds, finishes 82, 78, 76 last week. Like, not great, but he's your rookie of the year. He had an awesome year. Now would be your chance to buy back in. I'm interested in Ross Fisher here at $8,400. So you can see coming off 2 straight second-place finishes on the Euro Tour. He's played recently, which I think is always important over kind of this this swing season where there's not a ton of incentive to play a lot of golf. Guys who are playing and playing well, this is their time to strike. So Fisher doing just that with 2 straight second-place finishes. And then I think he also has some good history here as well. A 6th place and a 3rd place in the last 2 years. So that's checking off all the boxes. I will be heavily on Ross Fisher this week. You saw the guy who, when I just showed you the last 4 weeks of DraftKings points, Terrell Hatton led the list. And he's priced at $8,200. So that doesn't make much sense, right? I mean, we've got what would be defined as the hottest player on the planet. Justin Thomas is not in this field. So, Terrell Hatton has scored the most DraftKings points over the last 4 weeks of anyone on the planet, and he's priced at $8,200. And it's thanks to these results, right? Back-to-back wins, an 8th place and a 3rd place, all on the Euro Tour. So now he steps over to China to try to keep this streak alive. And I want to go back to that volatility chart for a second, because if you saw Hatton, whoops. So this is, let's go back. Here we go. This is again since the start of last PGA calendar year. Here's Terrell Hatton, basically the highest or most volatile player on tour. Only Justin Thomas has been more so. So again, risk reward here. Know what you're getting into when you invest, but literally a guy who's scorching hot coming off 2 wins and he's priced at $8,200 is going to appeal to a lot of different players. As we go down here, just a couple guys worth pointing out, just because it's kind of a weird field, and we talk about a lot of these PGA Tour guys a lot, but Paul Dunn, another recent winner, right? He wins the British Masters. Remember, this is the guy who, didn't he lead the, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong here, led I think it was the Open Championship after 3 rounds, kind of imploded in the 4th round, but the kid was like an amateur at the time. This was a couple years ago. He's obviously, cut his teeth as a professional since then. He just won a few weeks ago. So I think Paul Dunn is pretty interesting just from a recent winner standpoint. And then let's see if we have anybody else down here. I thought Bill Haas was interesting. We can look up Bill Haas together. Okay, yeah, here we go. So Bill Haas last year finished 4th here. Had another top 20 in 2013, which that was a different course, so throw that out. But a 4th place last year, and you get a really good PGA Tour player, a solid PGA Tour player, priced with a lot of these Euro guys or a lot of these guys who probably have little chance to make any noise here. Bill Haas from this price range actually does have a chance to make some noise. Top 10, top 5, that might be in his range. So I just think he's priced incorrectly against his peers. And then below him, again, you really get into a lot of these, because it's a WGC event, you get a lot of the guys from, the host country or who have qualified in different ways who I'm not too thrilled about rostering. So I'm not sure I'd go below Bill Haas, but there's plenty of value in that middle range to get a lot of these guys, on your roster. So there you go. That's it. These data visuals, again, it's available on DFSOnDemand.com. I've got a lot of plans for the upcoming season, but I want to try to get as much of this done kind of before the January season starts, right, where we really get into the meat of the season. So I've got some tools in mind that I'm going to be adding. If you have others in mind, please email me, tweet me, do something. I'm trying to build these so that they're useful. So give me a shout and let me know. You can tweet me. It's at DFS On Demand, or leave a comment below. Talk to you guys soon. See ya.